الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. ونشهد أن سيدنا حبيبنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا. أما بعد، قال الله تبارك وتعالى: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. Dear brothers and sisters, I've recited a surah, a verse of the Quran that you hear very often from the Imams when they're conducting the nikah, marriage ceremony. And often this is the verse that outlines the details of what Islamic marriage is all about. Today I want to talk about Islamic marriage, but more importantly, the bad practice of divorce in our community. It's been reported to me by various brothers and sisters how they have become totally disillusioned by some of the behaviors that they've seen displayed by Muslims when it comes to divorce. The verse that I've recited is very beautiful. But Allah says, and amongst His signs is that He has created a partner from amongst yourselves, so that you may live with them in peace and tranquility. And Allah will put between the two love and mercy. There are signs for those who reflect. Brothers and sisters, the purpose of marriage in this particular verse of the Quran is very beautifully outlined. لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا, so that you can together live in peace and tranquility with one another. Marriage would be a space of safety and security for the man and the woman. Marriage would be a space for safety and security for the children that will come out of that marriage. Marriage would be a space for safety and security for themselves, the couple, the children, and their families, the in-laws, the parents-in-laws from both sides, and siblings from both sides, as well as other family members. It would become a safe space for all to interact. In this safe space, my brothers and sisters, however, what we're witnessing amongst some Muslims, not all Muslims, some Muslims, is bad behavior. I would like to give you an example, and I'll start with this example. A sister wrote to me recently. She said to me, "Brother, can you please help me and explain to me if I'm still married to my husband or if my marriage is over?" And she wrote, "I was at home and I was working. My husband came back from his work and he wasn't very happy with the house. It was not clean in his eyes. So he started complaining. So I said to him, look, I've been very busy with the children. Cooking and running after them is not easy. So I've done the best I can. Well, your best is not good enough, was the response of my husband. It's not good enough. He started telling me off. And I told him, look, if you don't like what I'm doing, you can divorce me. He goes, okay then, I'll give you a divorce. She said, are you sure you're giving me a divorce? He said, yes, I'm giving you a divorce. I'll give you another one. She said, what? He goes, yes, if you didn't hear me, let me give you a third one. I divorce you again. He gave 3 talaq in one go. And the sister said to me, brother, I am wrong to have asked him to divorce me. I understand. But should he not have stood his ground and said, no, I'm not going to divorce you. Instead, he gave me all 3 divorces over the cleanliness of the house. My brothers, I'm going to talk to you today. Sisters, don't listen to this. Brothers, Allah has given you a right, an extraordinary right in your marriage, and that is to say to your wife, I am divorcing you, and the divorce proceeding can begin according to Islam, according to the Quran. You can say, I give you a talaq, your divorce starts. A sister can't say, I'm divorcing you. She can't. This is not a permission Allah has given them in the Quran. So brothers, if Allah has given you this permission, extraordinary permission, don't you think you should be extraordinary in the way you use it to? Men who use divorce as a weapon against their wives, they're cowardly. Are you listening to me? You're a coward if you use the word talaq against your wife to control her, to manipulate her, to blackmail her, to force her to submission. If you give her a threat of divorce, use divorce as a way of influencing her. You are a coward if you abuse the word of Allah. Allah has given you a privilege. Don't abuse it. I'm sorry, brothers, if you don't like what I'm saying, I'm speaking from the Quran and the Sunnah. It's not my word. Allah has given you the right to say, yes, I would like to divorce you, but you better use it right. If you don't use it right, you'll be punished according to Islamic law. You'll be punished if you abuse the right to divorce your wife. Okay, a brother said to me the other day, well, brother, I've given divorce to my wife. I said to my wife, I give you talaq. And I gave her 3 talaq in one go. But I didn't mean it. I was very angry. So I said to him, my brother, can I ask you a question? He goes, go ahead. Because when your wife was upsetting you, when you're getting upset about it, why did you not turn around to your wife and say to her, banana? Why did you use the word talaq? Why didn't you say mango? Why did you use the word talaq? Why didn't you say to her, get out of my face? Why didn't you say to her, go to the other room? Why didn't you say to her, go to your parents' house? Or why didn't you say to her, I'm going out for a walk, I'll come back tomorrow, I'm going to my mom's house, I'm going to my friend's house, I've had enough. Why did you use the word talaq if you did not mean it? The brother who's speaking to me is not Arabic speaking. He is Asian, speaks Urdu, Bengali or Hindi, one of those languages. Or English. If your first language is not Arabic, why do you use the word talaq if you don't mean it? Surely you meant it. That's why you dug deep into your brain and into your memory to find the word talaq and then say it. Otherwise, why didn't you say something else in English? Get out of my face. I don't want to see you today. Leave me alone. I'm going to the other room. I'm going to my mom's house. I'm going to my friend's house. I'm going for a walk. I'm going for a run. Do something else instead of using the word talaq. Why do you use the word talaq if you don't mean it? Brothers, are you listening to this very carefully? If you don't mean it, why do you use it? You know, I have in my pocket my driving license. I'm not going to take it out. How many points can you get on your driving license before your driving license expires? How many? 12. Yes, you all know. 12 points. Once 12 points have been acquired in your driving license, what happens? You lose your driving license. You have to take test again, and if you're qualified, and if the examiner thinks you're a good driver again, give you the certificate. Otherwise, you can't drive. As in a marriage, you have also got points. Allah has given you 3 points in your marriage license. Allah has given you 3 points in your marriage license. If you say to your wife, I am divorcing you once, 1 point, gone. You've got only 2 left. Once you say, I'm giving you a divorce, I'm giving you a talaq, what happens? The iddah period begins. She has to now wait for her 3-monthly cycle. If within that 3-monthly cycle you don't reconcile, your marriage is over. you're now divorced. You can go in your own ways. However, 6 months down the line, 3 months down the line, 1 week later, you regret what you've done. You've given her one talaq, you regret, she has regrets, you sit together, you reconcile, you bring your families together to reconcile, you draw up a new contract that you will not behave badly, no problem. Islam says you can get married again. It's not a problem. Go ahead, get married again. Don't do it again. So you have lost one license point. You say to your wife, I give you a talaq again, you've lost 2 license point from your marriage license. Again, if you change your mind, you can get married to her again. But if you say to her, I divorce you the 3rd time, marriage is over permanently. Marriage is over permanently. You can't get married to her ever again. Unless she naturally gets married to somebody else, naturally consummates that marriage, naturally has a divorce, naturally becomes available, and you naturally make a proposal to marry her and she accepts. If you lose all 3 points in your license, marriage is over. It's over. You cannot orchestrate. Some people say, brother, there is something called halala. I'm sure you've heard of this. There is nothing halala. This is haram, haram, haram. You are orchestrating a divorce. You're orchestrating consummation of marriage. It is like prostitution. You're paying somebody to do something for you so you can have your wife back. What kind of a man are you? What kind of a man are you? It makes me very angry when I see brothers taking very lightly the power of divorce, using it, throwing it around, abusing their wife, controlling them, manipulating them. It's called emotional blackmail and emotional abuse. And in Islam, Allah says, لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. Allah has made marriage, the purpose of it is to live with them in peace and tranquility, not in threats and abuse, not in an abusive environment. And if you're using divorce to abuse your wife, that's an abusive environment, contradicting the concept of sakina as outlined in the Quran. لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. You live with them with peace and tranquility, not with the threat of divorce. A brother said to his wife, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you 100 times, I also divorce your mother. Astonishing, isn't it? So I asked the brother, I understand you divorced your wife, I understand. But why did you divorce your mother-in-law? Did you marry her too? He goes, no, I was very angry. I said, are you that stupid, my brother? I'm saying it to him privately. Are you that stupid that you would say to your wife, I divorced your mother? Why would you even say something like that? Are you that stupid? He was looking down, he couldn't say anything. I didn't say this to him in public, I didn't humiliate him. I told him in private. I said to him, why? I feel like knocking these men and waking them up. Really, wallahi, I feel like knocking them and waking them up. I am not allowed to do that, so I will not do it. But wallahi, it is wrong, wrong, wrong for men to use and abuse the right of divorce to keep their wife under their thumb. Did you know, Sharia, according to the Quran, divorce is not obtained by 3 divorce because it is known as divorce of bid'ah, divorce of innovation. Divorce should only be once. You say, I divorce you. 3 months, if you don't reconcile, marriage is over. Why do you need to say that 3 times? Why do you need to say that 3 times? Saying 3 times, even though it's acceptable within Sharia, it is also known as divorce of bid'ah, talaq bid'i. And you can't reconcile after that. It's over. So brothers, I want to finish this part of khutbah by asking you a question. What if your wife was putting a gun to your head, constantly blackmailing you 24 hours a day? How would you feel? You feel rotten. If your wife was constantly using her power to abuse you, how would you feel? You would feel rotten. What would you say to your wife if your wife was using her power to blackmail you, to control you? You would feel rotten, you would be very upset. You would not want to stay in that relationship. And yet, you forget. When you use the word divorce or threaten your wife with a divorce or there is a divorce looming over her head, you are creating unsafe, abusive, terrible space for her. She can't have peace in her heart at all. And if your wife isn't finding peace in your behavior, in your attitude, why would she give you peace and love and respect and good time? Why would she? Do you think you can force somebody to love you? Do you think you can force somebody to serve you? Yes, you may, but they will hate you. You want a wife who hates you? You want a wife who resents you? You want a wife who doesn't like you because you forced her? brothers and sisters, it's haram in Islam to coerce anybody into anything. Allah says, even Allah says, you are not forcing anyone to Islam. Forget about your own self. You're not even allowed to force anybody to Allah. Who are you to force anybody to do Islam? So divorce is allowed, yes. According to majority of the scholars, it's allowed, but it is one of the most and the last resort for anybody to go to. Don't press the D button before you have done everything. Okay, you and your wife are not getting along. In Islam, we are allowed to divorce. We are not like other religions where you get married until death do us apart. We don't believe in such. We believe that you can have a divorce. But divorce respectfully. Divorce with dignity. Divorce generously. Allah said that in the Quran. And amicably part your ways. Be generous with them. Look after them. Take care of them. Don't be stingy when you're divorcing your wife. I know brothers who do not want to get married according to English law. They just want to do the nikah in the mosque. Do you know why? Because when they get divorced, if they do divorce their wife, or their wife divorces their husband, they don't want their wife to be entitled to anything. It's so mean-minded. It's so mean-minded. It's called being stingy. It's called being mean-minded, man. If you're getting married to a woman, she's given up 10 years of her life for you, and then you divorce her, and then you say to her, you're not entitled to anything. What kind of a human being are you? What kind of a human being are you? She's given up her whole of her life for you, brought up your children, looked after your house, looked after you, and then you say, I divorced you, you're not entitled to anything. That's not Islamic, by the way. She's entitled to, of course she's entitled to. So brothers and sisters, yes, divorce is allowed. But be mindful on the day of judgment. Every action that we have taken, we will be asked for, especially when we get married. We don't get married with the intention of divorce. And if you're going to use the word divorce with your wife, be very careful. And you better mean it. I said to my wife, if I ever say I want to divorce you, that's it, it's over. It's over. And if you ever ask me to divorce you, it's over too. I said this to her before I got married. I said, this is my condition. Never ask for a divorce unless you mean it. I'll never give you a divorce unless I mean it. Happy family, as far as we're concerned, no threats of a divorce. If there is a problem, reconcile. Allah says that in the Quran. There is a problem, reconcile. Sit down and talk to one another. Get families involved if the families are trustworthy, because sometimes families could be troubled too. Get trustworthy adults and elders of the family who are confidential, respectful, not gossiping, not backbiting and slandering, not biased. Get the right ones involved. See if you can solve it. If you can't solve it, get mediations from outside. There are professional counselors who do this for a living. Invite them to help you, because they will have nothing invested in your marriage except professional help. There are help available. Don't end your marriage because you're not getting along. Every marriage can be solved. Every marriage can be salvaged. You have to be willing to do it, and don't go down the divorce route, because divorce is allowed, but it is very destructive. It is very dangerous for our family's stability and peace. Brothers and sisters, avoid it at all costs. And please, my brothers, do not use and abuse the right of divorce to blackmail, threaten, or control your wife. May Allah forgive us. May Allah enable us, and may Allah make our families peaceful, tranquil, and a happy space. Wa akhir da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. To finish off, my brothers and sisters, it's not that the brothers are the only ones who are instigating divorce. Sisters also do. Sisters are allowed to divorce their husbands, of course. It's called khula. So she can apply to an arbitration council. In our country we have several, and they can look at the marriage and they can annul the marriage, end the marriage, and issue a divorce. It's allowed. If you've got a civil registration done, you apply to the court, and the court looks at your case and it ends your marriage. It's all allowed. But why would you want to end your marriage? Over what? I'll give you an example. The brother came home and his wife said to him, I want a divorce now. He goes, what? I want a divorce right now. Are you sure? Yes, I'm 100% sure. He goes, okay. He goes into his room, into his study room. He sits down for a few minutes, packs up his bag, picks up his bag, comes out and gives his wife an envelope saying, "You wanted a divorce? Here it is, take it." She takes the envelope in her hand and he leaves. And he says, "Please don't contact me." He leaves. She's sitting there with the envelope in her hand and thinking, "Oh my God, what have I done?" He leaves. In the evening, the children come back home from school, from work. They all sit around their mother saying, "Mother is very upset." "What's the matter, Mum? Why are you so upset?" "Your father has left me. He has divorced me." "What?" They all huddle together. They are worried. They cry. They want to know what to do, how to do, but they don't know what to do. And she told the children, "Your dad told me not to contact him." Okay. 1 day goes, 2 days goes, 3 days go, 3 days go. Nobody contacts him. The children say, "Mom, why don't you open the envelope and see what's written in there?" So they open up the envelope and they take out a piece of paper. It's a blank piece of paper, nothing written on it. So the children contact their dad, saying, "Dad, you've left a blank piece of paper in the envelope." He says to his children, "Give the phone to your mom." She picks up the phone and he says, "You wanted a divorce? I gave you a divorce. But I know you are upset and angry, so I gave you a blank piece of paper. Did you really want a divorce?" She goes, "No." He goes, "Next time you ask for it, it will be over. This time, it's a lesson. Never ask for a divorce unless you need it." Sisters, over small things, don't ask for a divorce from your husband. Over smallest things, don't say, "Why don't you divorce me?" Never, don't say that. Because Allah will also mark you on the Day of Judgment. Allah will also question you for what you say with your mouth. "Oh, I didn't mean it, I was too angry." Well, you should control your mind. You should control yourself. If you're angry, say something else. Why say divorce me? Why use the word divorce me if you don't mean it? Divorce has become the easiest option for many people in our community today. Young people especially, I've been told, they press the divorce button within a few months of their marriage because they can't get along. Do you know why, brothers and sisters? People are delaying their marriage more and more. They're getting married later in life. And when you are older in life, you're more stuck in your own way. When I am 25, 35, 45, my life stages are different. At 25, I'm more flexible, adaptable, open to ideas. At 35, I'm less. At 45, I'm very set. The delay you have in your marriage, the more likely that you will have trouble with your wife or your husband because you're already set in your way. If you're already getting married so late in life, get ready for compromise. Get ready for compromise. Get ready for compromise. And I repeated it 3 times. Compromise, compromise, compromise. Not divorce, divorce, divorce. First thing you do. Be patient and be more patient with one another. Of course you irritate one another because you're living with one another. You're seeing each other's good, bad and the ugly side. Of course you would rile the other person because you don't agree with them or he doesn't agree with you. Of course it's a very human nature to be irritated by the behavior of another human being. I get irritated by somebody standing next to me on a bus. If I'm living with somebody, of course I'm going to get irritated. But a marriage is about not getting irritated and getting bogged down for small things. For there are bigger things that you love about your wife and your husband. That's what you should be focusing on. Marriage is a space that you invest in. You grow together. You develop together. You do things for one another. You sacrifice more. You're more patient. You compromise more often. It's not about me, and me. No, that's selfishness. Marriage is about us together. 2 of you and your children and your families on both sides. Marriage is about creating the right space for you to grow spiritually, emotionally, physically, and economically, to grow together. To grow together. That's what Allah means when He says, لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. You will live in a safe space with them and you grow together. So I want to finish off by reminding us all the essence of what I've been saying throughout my speech today. The most important principle I've highlighted to all of you is that yes, divorce is allowed, but don't abuse it. Especially my brothers. You're allowed to say, "I divorce your wife," don't abuse it. Don't say 3 talaq at all. Don't even use it. Say once if that's what you need to. And then let time pass, and after 3 months and a 3 period is over, then marriage is over. It's okay. You don't need to say 3 talaq. There is no need for it. None whatsoever. Once is enough. Secondly, don't use it. Even better. And sisters, don't ask your husband to divorce you over the most trivial matters. Don't. Provoking one another doesn't solve the problem. May Allah forgive us all. And may Allah enable us to build better families. Ya Arhamar Rahimin, Ya Akramul Akramin. Bring our hearts together, Ya Allah. Bring our hearts together in love and mercy, Ya Allah. Bestow in our families love and mercy, Ya Allah. Ya Arhamar Rahimin, enable us to create the safe space, Ya Allah. Enable us so that we can create sakina in our homes, Ya Allah. Enable us so that we can create sakina in our homes, Ya Allah. So that we can receive mawadda and rahmah from you, Ya Allah. Ya Arhamar Rahimin, Ya Akramul Akramin. Help us to protect our families, Ya Allah. Protect our children, Ya Allah. Protect our in-laws, Ya Allah. Our parents, Ya Allah. Our brothers and sisters, Ya Allah. Ya Arhamar Rahimin, make the families our foundations, Ya Allah. Make the families our strongest foundation for our societies, Ya Allah. Ya Arhamar Rahimin, Ya Akramul Akramin. Restore patience in our hearts, Ya Allah. Give us the strength to be able to compromise, Ya Allah. Give us the strength to be able to communicate well, Ya Allah. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. Ya Allah, have mercy on the world and the people of the world, Ya Allah. Free us from this COVID pandemic, Ya Allah. Free us from the troubles, Ya Allah. Free the world from fitna, Ya Allah. Free Al-Aqsa from occupation, Ya Allah. Free Iraq from fitna and troubles, Ya Allah. Free Syria from the tyrant, Ya Allah. Free every part of the world that is occupied and in trouble, Ya Allah. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون والله يعلم ما تصنعون. أقم الصلاة.